Being broke at 30 feels like a life sentence, but it's actually just the beginning if you know what to do next. Most people stay trapped because they're making 5 critical mistakes that I made too. I spent years learning the hard way, but today I'm giving you the exact roadmap I used to completely transform my financial situation in under 3 years. And the last step is something financial advisors never tell you because it doesn't make them any money. Let's start with the most important realization. Being broke at 30 is not a character flaw. It's a situation, and situations can change rapidly with the right actions. Our financial education system has completely failed us. No one taught us how money actually works in school, and most of what our parents told us about money is outdated or flat out wrong. If you're struggling financially at 30, you're actually in the majority. According to recent studies, 63% of Americans can't cover a $500 emergency expense without going into debt. The median savings for Americans in their 30s is just short of $4,000. So if you're beating yourself up about your situation, stop. You're not alone. And more importantly, it's not too late. The financial advice industry wants you to believe that wealth building is complicated, requiring expensive advisors and complex strategies. But that's not true. The path to financial security follows a simple formula that anyone can implement, regardless of your starting point. So, what's the formula? It doesn't sound like loads of fun, but it works every single time. We're going to break this down into actionable steps. But first, let's identify the 5 deadliest financial mistakes that keep people broke at 30. Number 1, the income illusion. The biggest mistake I made was focusing only on my salary rather than my total income potential. Most broke 30-year-olds are stuck in the mindset that their job is their only source of income. This is what I call the income illusion, the false belief that your financial fate is tied to your employer. Here's the truth. No one ever got rich from a salary alone. Even high-paying jobs like doctors and lawyers often lead to what's called golden handcuffs, a high income but negative net worth due to lifestyle inflation and debt. The average millionaire has 7 different streams of income. 7. Meanwhile, most people are clinging to just one, then panicking when layoffs happen or emergencies strike. Number 2, the consumption trap. The second mistake is confusing spending with wealth. We've been programmed to believe that buying expensive things means we're successful. But here's the brutal truth. That $35,000 car you're making payments on, it's making you poorer every single day. Real wealth isn't what you spend, it's what you keep. Every dollar that leaves your pocket is working for someone else's dreams instead of yours. Let me share something that changed my life. When I was broke, I started categorizing every expense into one of 2 categories. Is this making me richer or is it making me poorer? That simple question eliminated about 30% of my spending overnight. Number 3, the debt spiral. The third mistake is misunderstanding debt. There's a reason the richest 1% leverage debt while the other 99% get crushed by it. The difference is in how they use it. Most people use debt to buy things that go down in value. Cars, electronics, vacations. The wealthy use debt to acquire assets that generate income or appreciate. One approach builds wealth, the other destroys it. When I was $43,000 in debt, I realized I was paying over $500 each month just in interest, money that was disappearing into thin air. That's when I got serious about debt elimination. Number 4, the zero-sum mindset. The fourth mistake is believing that money is a fixed resource, that for you to have more, someone else must have less. This scarcity thinking keeps you playing small. When I was broke, I was constantly worried about money running out. Every financial decision was defensive rather than strategic. I was playing not to lose rather than playing to win. The reality is that money is infinite. The economy isn't a pizza with a fixed number of slices. It's more like a kitchen where anyone can learn to make their own pizza. Trap number 5, the financial knowledge gap. The fifth and perhaps most dangerous mistake is not understanding how money works. Financial literacy isn't optional. It's the difference between freedom and lifelong struggle. Most people spend more time researching their next phone purchase than learning about investing. I was the same way. I had no idea what compound interest really meant. Now that we've identified what's holding you back, let's talk about the solution, the exact step-by-step plan to go from broke to financially secure, no matter where you're starting from. The 90-day financial reset. Step 1, emergency fund acceleration. First 30 days. Before anything else, you need some breathing room. Financial stress clouds your thinking and leads to poor decisions. The first step is building a mini emergency fund of $1,000 as quickly as possible. When I was broke, I sold everything I hadn't used in 90 days. Old electronics, clothes, furniture. I delivered food on weekends using apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats. I found short gigs on TaskRabbit. Within 2 weeks, I had my $1,000 buffer. This isn't your full emergency fund. It's just enough to handle minor emergencies without derailing your progress. Think of it as financial shock absorbers. Once you have this mini emergency fund, put it in a high-yield savings account that's separate from your main bank. This creates enough friction that you won't touch it unless it's truly an emergency. Step 2. Income expansion. First 90 days. While you're building your emergency fund, you need to immediately start working on increasing your income. Remember the wealth formula. Income minus expenses equals capital. The bigger that number, the faster everything else works. There are 3 ways to increase your income. Extract more value from your current job. Add a side hustle. Build marketable skills for the future. For your current job, it's time to have an uncomfortable conversation with your boss. Before my financial turnaround, I discovered I was being paid 20% below market rates simply because I never asked for more. Research salary ranges for your position, document your contributions, and have a direct conversation about compensation. For side hustles, the key is leveraging what you already know or own. When I was digging out of debt, I taught basic Excel skills to small business owners for $50 per hour. I wasn't an Excel master, but I knew more than they did. Think about what skills or assets you have that others might pay for. Can you drive? Delivery apps. Have a spare room? Short-term rental. Basic computer skills? Virtual assistant work. Good with words? Freelance writing. For long-term income growth, identify one high-value skill to develop that the market consistently rewards. Data analysis, copywriting, digital marketing, coding, and sales are perennially in demand. Spend 30 minutes every day developing this skill. There are free or low-cost resources like YouTube, library books, and platforms like Coursera or EDX that offer university-level courses. Step 3. Expense elimination. First 60 days. While increasing your income, you need to ruthlessly cut expenses. But not all expenses, just the ones that don't align with your values or build wealth. Start by tracking every dollar you spend for 2 weeks. Most people are shocked to discover where their money actually goes. I certainly was. I found I was spending over $300 a month on convenience store purchases I couldn't even remember making. Next, use what I call the value audit on each expense. Does this expense bring me genuine joy or move me toward my goals? Is there a way to get 80% of the benefit for 20% of the cost? For example, I was spending $120 per month on a gym I rarely used. I switched to a $20 a month basic gym and bought $30 resistance bands for home workouts. Same fitness results, $840 saved per year. Look hard at your big 3 expenses: housing, transportation, and food. These typically consume 70% of most people's budgets. For housing, could you add a roommate for 6 to 12 months? Move to a slightly smaller place? Negotiate your rent? Each of these could save hundreds monthly. For transportation, can you use public transit more? Carpool, or simply drive your current car for 3 to 5 more years instead of upgrading. For food, meal prepping alone can save $200 to $300 per month. When I was getting out of debt, I implemented Zero Food Waste Wednesday, dinner made exclusively from what was already in my fridge before it went bad. This saved me at least $40 each month. Step 4. Debt demolition. Days 30 to 90. With your income rising and expenses dropping, it's time to tackle debt. List all your debts from smallest balance to largest, regardless of interest rate. This is a modified version of the debt snowball method, and it works because quick wins fuel motivation. Focus all your financial firepower on the smallest debt while making minimum payments on everything else. Once that's paid off, roll that payment into the next debt, creating a snowball effect. If you have high-interest credit card debt, anything over 10%, consider consolidation options through a personal loan or 0% balance transfer offer. This can save hundreds in interest and speed up repayment. For student loans, research forgiveness options and income-driven repayment plans. Many people qualify for relief programs they don't know about. I discovered I was eligible for $5,000 in forgiveness due to teaching part-time, money I almost left on the table. Step 5. Wealth building systems. Days 60 to 90. As your debt shrinks, it's time to set up automatic wealth building systems. The key is removing human emotion and willpower from the equation. First, automate saving and investing through direct deposit splits or automatic transfers that happen the day you get paid. Money you never see is money you won't miss. For retirement, contribute at least enough to get any employer match. That's an instant 100% return on your money. Beyond that, consider a Roth IRA for tax-free growth if you're eligible. For investing beyond retirement, low-cost index funds are the simplest path to wealth. Start small if needed. Even $50 a month into investments will build momentum and familiarity with the process. The financial turning point. Now we've reached the most important part, the strategy that turned everything around for me and countless others. This is what I call the financial turning point, and it's something most financial gurus never talk about. The secret is simultaneously implementing small improvements across all areas of your financial life, creating a compound effect. Most people make the mistake of trying to fix their finances one dimension at a time. This sequential approach is why many people stay broke for decades. The breakthrough comes from making 10% improvements across 10 different areas, rather than trying to perfect one area at a time. The math is simple but powerful. If you improve 5 areas of your financial life by just 10% each, the compounded improvement isn't 50%. It's closer to 61% due to how these factors multiply each other's effects. Most importantly, this approach creates psychological momentum. You're no longer the person who's working on their debt. You're the person who's upgrading their entire financial life simultaneously. Remember, your 30s aren't a financial death sentence. You have decades of compound growth ahead and hopefully some hard-earned wisdom from your 20s to guide better decisions. The only thing standing between you and financial freedom is the decision to start today, followed by consistent action. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to begin.